Let's see what are equivalent fractions. Let's look at this rectangle, the big one. I have divided the big rectangle into two equal parts and have colored one of the parts. So how can I write that in terms of a fraction? I can write that as 1 over 2. Now here is another rectangle exactly of the same size, but in this case we divided it into 4 equal parts and selected 2 of it. So we can write that as 2 over 4. Now here is another rectangle exactly of the same size, but we divided that into 8 parts, and out of 8 we have colored the 4 parts. So we can write that as 4 over 8. So what we see here is that in these 3 rectangles, the colored part is exactly same. That means I have colored exactly the same quantity. That means whether I make 2 parts and color 1, or make 4 and color 2, or make 8 and color 4, I'm coloring essentially the same quantity. Therefore, I can say that 1 over 2 is same as 2 over 4 and is same as 4 over 8. Now these fractions are called as equivalent fractions. Let's look at one more example. 1 over 3 is equal to 2 over 6 is equal to 3 over 9. That means if I have an apple and if I cut that in 3 equal parts and eat one part, I eat the same quantity as eating 2 parts when I cut it into 6 parts. Or I can cut the apple into 9 equal parts and eat 3 parts. Again I'll eat the same quantity, because all these fractions are equivalent fractions. Now here is one more example. 2 over 5 is same as 4 over 10. Now the question is, if I know a fraction, is there a way that I can obtain its equivalent fraction? Is there any calculation that I can do to get an equivalent fraction of the given fraction? Yes, let's look at it. So I have here 1 over 2 or 1 half. I multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number, which is 2 here. So I got 2 over 4, which is an equivalent of 1 over 2. We have just seen that. Again you multiply the numerator and denominator by 2 and you get 4 over 8. That means if I multiply both the numerator and denominator by the same number, I can get its equivalent. Now here is another example. In this case 1 over 3, you multiply by 2, get 2 over 6. Now I have shown here 2, but you can also multiply by any other number. Say for example 10. If I take 1 over 3 and multiply by 10, the numerator and denominator, I would get 10 over 30. And 10 over 30 is equivalent to 1 over 3. So what I learn here is equivalent fractions can be obtained by multiplying the numerator and the denominator by the same number. How about dividing? Can I divide the numerator and denominator by the same number? Let's check that. So I have 4 over 10 here. I divide both numerator and denominator by 2 and I get 2 over 5, which is an equivalent of 4 over 10. So what I learn here is not only multiplying but dividing both the sides, like numerator denominator, also gives me an equivalent fraction. Now when you do this division or multiplication, does the value of fraction change? No, it does not change, because you are dividing both or you are multiplying both the numerator as well as denominator. So the value of the fraction is same, and that is why it is an equivalent fraction, which actually represents the same value. Let's see the test for equivalent fractions. Now we already know that 1 over 2 is equivalent to 2 over 4. Now how do we test it? what we can do is we can take a product of 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. That means numerator of the first fraction multiply that with the denominator of the second fraction, and the other product is that denominator of the first fraction is multiplied by numerator of the second fraction. So 1 multiplied by 4 is equal to 2 multiplied by 2. So the products are equal. We also call these as cross products, because if you see this is a cross. So I have highlighted those in the same color. 1 and 4 are in blue and both the 2's are in orange. So when the cross products are equal, we can say that the fractions are equivalent. Okay. Now consider one more example. 4 over 10 and 2 over 5. Now let's take the cross products. 4 5s are 20 and 10 2s are also 20. So the test is successful. So we can say that 4 over 10 and 2 over 5 are equivalent fractions. So you can use this for big numbers, because these are small numbers. You could figure out easily that these are equivalent, but you can use that for any big numbers or big fractions, and you can see that this is the test where you can check if the fractions are equivalent or not.